Hello everyone and welcome to today's video where we are going to have an argument. One of the most hotly debated topics in racing is which series is the best. Now everyone has an opinion, I certainly have mine, so I thought today I would give you my top 3 favorite forms of motorsport, since there's not a whole lot of real racing going on, and maybe open it up in the comments. I want to hear about your favorite motorsports and why you like them so much.
So as you may have guessed from the intro, number 3 on my list of favorite motorsports is Formula 1. And I will demonstrate that today, cosplaying as George Russell at the back of a grid at Silverstone. Now while the races in F1 may not necessarily get you on the edge of your seat week in and week out, it is the biggest motorsport in the world. And I would say boasts the best drivers in the world, even accounting for Romain Grosjean, who I may also be doing an impression of in this race, if things go like they normally do. Now the great thing about Formula 1 is it's not just about the drivers, it's also about the cars and the engineers that design them. Formula 1 as a sport has turned car designers into rock stars and made household names out of these guys. You got Colin Chapman, John Barnard, Gordon Murray, Adrian Newey, just to name a few. Legends of the sport all. Oh, there's a guy next to me, hello. Just leaned on him a little bit. And the innovation available to these guys in Formula 1 is some of the coolest stuff in the world. Now, that is something I fear is slowly disappearing. And with the addition of the new regulations coming now, I believe in 2022, this sort of innovation and experimentation, such as we saw this year, if we ever race this year, with the Mercedes, the dual-axis steering, which is really cool. Whoa! That kind of stuff is the coolest. And we see less and less of it, unfortunately. But all in all, Formula 1 falls squarely 3rd place in my list of favorite motorsports. I think if the quality of the on-track product, I hate to use the word, was a little more consistent, it would be higher on my list. I still watch every Grand Prix. But you gotta admit, some of the tracks and some of the races aren't great. But in a way, that might be what makes it so fun when the races are good, because they're like little gems. I mean, Germany last year is one of the best examples, I think. A race just entirely turned on its head by a little bit of weather. You know, a little spicy in the midfield. This is higher than a Williams has any reason to be. Oh, we're going to try to hang on the outside. I think we just about got him. Can we get in the points in a Williams? Gonna have a lunge. I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh, we crossed over in a way I didn't anticipate. I do enjoy this mod. This is the Racing Studios Formula Hybrid 2020. I love this mod. I, however, feel like it has way too much grip. Haha! Comedic timing! And across the line we go. Not last somehow. Somebody else is worse than us. Probably Kubica. And that'll sum up our trip for Formula 1. Number 3 on my list of favorite motorsports. On to number 2. So here we are on the grid of my number 2 on the top 3 list of favorite motorsports. This being multi-class endurance racing. Now, I know that's not a specific series, more of a discipline, but there is a few. There are a few. Namely, the two big players, WEC and IMSA. But it is just such an incredibly pure form of motorsport. As much as motorsport is pure anymore these days at all. And it's... Woohoo! Hello, Ferrari. Endurance racing has such a great variety of cars. It seems like there's just a little bit of something for everybody. Now, I would say, if I was to meet someone that was looking for a form of racing to get into as a fan, I would start them with endurance racing. Because if you're into cars, there's nothing better. I'm in a McLaren. I'm following a Beamer. There's a Ferrari in my mirror. There's a Lamborghini up there. In front of him is a Corvette. If you like cars, you're gonna like this. And that's just mentioning the GT cars. We're not even talking about LMPs. I'm not talking about the Daytona prototypes, DPIs, which on an engineering and just cool level are miles above anything else road racing. Got a good run out of there, but I'm going to be on the wrong side. Got to outbrake him, outbrake myself. Going to take the corner. And that's just talking about cars. We're going to talk about tracks. WEC, in particular, race on the best tracks in the world. We're here at Spa. There's a 24 hours of Spa that they run. You know, the crown jewel, 24 hours of Le Mans. The more difficult cousin of Le Mans, which I would say would be the 24 hours of Nürburgring, which doesn't get near as much credit for being an incredible race. And that's just WEC. IMSA, they race, you know, predominantly North America, or entirely North America. 24 hours of Daytona, incredible race. Starts the racing year, every year. Petite Le Mans, that's another one. Around Road Atlanta, 12 hours of Sebring. Oh, the Corvettes all over the place. Just the sheer variety of racing you get in this form of motorsport is why it is firmly in second on my list. It would be higher, but I'm American. And this is purely just, it's a hard motorsport to follow in America. It's rarely on television. If you pay extra, which I do, for the streaming packages. The WEC being the World Endurance Championship, it is going to be at odd hours. But I don't mind. I watch the races anyway, as much as I can. And I adore this series. But there's some grip out here. So I put it to you, if you know someone, presumably if you're watching this, you're already a racing fan. If you know somebody that wants to get into racing, they don't know really what they want to watch, Give them some WEC races to watch. Give them some IMSA races. I promise you, they will have a favorite car very quickly. Favorite team, favorite driver. Well, this is going to be a hell of a crash. Oh, the Audi went wide. We're going to have to send it on the Corvette. Oh, he fought back. It's a drag race. I don't know if I could beat a vet in a drag race. I can't. So that is number 2 on my top 3 list. That only leaves one. And I promise you, after seeing these two, you're not going to guess what it is. We are in Australian V8 Supercars. Yes, I will say that again. My favorite, number 1 motorsport in the world, V8 Supercars. The reasons are plentiful, and I will go... Oh god, there's Wind Cup. I will go through them all. I have long harbored the belief that touring car racing is the pinnacle of motorsport. Very evenly matched cars, incredible drivers that know exactly where the limit is in their particular cars and how to get as much speed as possible. If you don't believe me, Aiden Millward just put a video out today on the golden age of the BTCC, which is some of the most incredible touring car racing I've ever witnessed. Sadly, before my birth. But I do watch those races from time to time. And I think the pinnacle of modern day touring car racing are these. I say that with utmost confidence because I go out of my way. I live in America. V8 Supercar races, as you know, are in Australia, New Zealand, Tasmania. Opposite side of the globe as I run straight off into the very sticky green gravel. Roughly 16 to 17 hours ahead of me, time-wise, and I go out of my way to watch as many races live a year as I can. I have the Super Pass subscription. Woo. And I watch all the practice, the qualifying, as much as I can watch because I adore this series. I adore these cars. I adore the V8s. Where are they pitting? That's odd. There may be an issue with the AI. If you haven't ever watched this, give it a shot. They go to some of the most interesting tracks in the world. Now granted, they're not going to Spa, and they're not going to Le Mans. They're going to Sydney, they're going to Pukekohe, but they're going to places like Bathurst, they're going to tracks like Sandown, and incredible street circuits like Surfers Paradise. And racing harder than just about any series in the world. And for that reason, it's my favorite. And will probably continue to be my favorite for a long time. And that gives me a lot of looks when I say that. Because I live in NASCAR country. And granted, I grew up on car. I've gone to NASCAR races my whole life. But it's not in my top 3. I don't even think it's in my top 5. Maybe 15 years ago. Not anymore. And it's definitely not sophistication. Look what my favorite is. It's just the on-track product. And I abhor the word product when referring to racing, but it's the world we live in these days. The on-track racing, I don't know what's going on with the AI. They're all pitting, but I'll take it. the on-track racing in NASCAR is just crap. And it gets worse. And funnily enough, they're designing a new car, and underneath that new car is one of these. It's going to have the same gearbox, 6-speed sequential, very similar body styles. They've taken a lot of the aero tricks that Supercars have designed with their car of the future from, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago now. It's going to have the same wheels, the same rear suspension. So NASCAR is clearly, someone at NASCAR is clearly paying attention to the same thing I am in regards to this motorsport. They're doing something right, because every track they go to is packed to the rafters, and the racing is incredible. It's not easy to drift with 20 FPS.
So there you have it, guys. Those are my top 3 favorite forms of motorsport in the world. And I'd love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear you tell me how wrong I am in the comments, and tell me what your favorite forms of motorsport are and why you like them so much. And I really hope at some point this year we can get a lot of racing back, and we can get back to what we enjoy watching. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like. If you really enjoyed, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.